What's up, everybody? It is 6 o'clock, so you know what time that is. It's coronavirus happy hour time. So today we're going to be joined by Joe, who's going to talk to us about how we can try and focus on being a little bit better than our current circumstance, because now is a bit of a stressful time. We'll also go over some news and see who joins us. Please, if you want to participate, I tried to make it a little bit easier. I'm going to put this ticker along the bottom right now. There's the URL is a little bit more memorable, tinyurl.com/cvhappy. That will probably change from episode to episode, but feel free to use that to join in on us with us. All right, now I'm going to bring Matt into the stream. What's up, Matty?
Yo, how's everybody doing?
Good.
Yeah.
What do you have? What are you drinking this afternoon?
The normal.
The normal vodka and soda and vodka. Yeah, I decided, I saw a post somewhere this past couple of days where they were talking about how real men are okay to drink fruity drinks. And when I was doing illegal activities such as driving to Delaware to get alcohol on Saturday, they had one of these margarita buckets, and they had the regular margarita bucket, and then they had the strawberry margarita bucket. And I decided to go with the strawberry margarita bucket. But I filled it up with Espanyol tequila. So here we go. I mean, I don't know how you can see if it's kind of red there. I got my little red strawberry margarita.
And today is April Fool's Day. So
that's right. So let's see if Rachel or Heather have any good Fool's stories today. Did anybody try messing with you guys at all today for April Fool's? I feel like nobody did because the world is screwed up as it is.
Yeah, no. I played one April Fool's joke today. In the middle of the day, I ran downstairs and I told my son, my 11-year-old, I was like, oh my gosh, I just got an email. You go back to school tomorrow. And I was dancing all around all excited. And he looked at me like, yeah, right, Mom. Coronavirus much? I'm like, oh, crap.
I saw one that said, that for all the kids, it said that they all have to repeat the grade because of coronavirus.
They what?
They have to repeat the grade. So that was a pretty good April Fool's joke.
No, that's being discussed in Poland, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, because they're saying, like, how can the kids start again? Because they don't think kids are going to come back. So how can they start again in September and like increase?
It wouldn't be bad.
They're saying
if you had to repeat the grade, it would be good.
Man.
Yeah, are they doing distance? Like, are they doing at school at home? Do you know, Heather?
The schools have been shut down now for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, but are they doing like distance learning at home or anything? Or this kids?
They are, but it's like, here's the teacher, and they're just like pumping out information.
Yeah,
it's not like how we're talking and stuff. It's just basically, here's information, take it.
I think my daughter's school at least has like a video from the teacher to try and teach them whatever it is that they're supposed to be learning. But I'm not sure it's very effective. Rachel, are your kids at home school or what?
James's school district is Boyertown, and they start officially back to school on April 13th.
Well, that's not going to happen, but
no, it was either in school or
online. Oh, okay. So
when they changed it back to the 30th, and whenever it'll be, they'll be doing online learning officially on the 13th. So far, it's been voluntary, which means James has done nothing.
Play video games.
Well, he screamed and hollered at me for about 20 minutes when I suggested that he go on the website that was sent to him by his teacher, or go on Google Classroom and see what he's supposed to do. That didn't turn out so well. So I'm like, all right, go back downstairs to your Xbox.
What grade is he in?
Yeah.
5th grade. But he's got an IEP, he's got learning disabilities, and he all around hates school. So for the last couple of years, he's begged me, why can't I just homeschool him? So when they said that they'd be back to school on the 13th, in school or online, I was like, oh, there you go, buddy. You get your homeschooling.
You get your homeschool.
He's like, I don't want to be homeschooled. I'm like, I know you don't want anything that you can have.
Mm-hmm.
What are y'all having for dinner?
I haven't even had lunch yet.
That's not good. I thought of it because my dinner just beeped.
Heather's over in Poland, so she's had dinner hours ago.
Right.
Yeah, and I, of course, because last night was not a good because this whole lockdown, everything, like, and as of today, we can't go to shops. You have to like put on gloves before you go to shops, everything. So I bought everything. So I'm basically eating out of cans for the next 2 weeks.
Really?
Oh,
Cans in the freezer.
Oh, yeah, I'm doing a lot of frozen meals myself. But I mean, the restaurants are still open. I can still order and go pick up or have delivered. It was funny. There was an ad for Burger King. It was like family meal, $13. Like, it was like 6 big burgers and all this junk. And I was like, I shouldn't eat any of that, but it looks so good. And it actually made me click and download the app. And I got so far as placing my order. I didn't order that.
Fatty.
But at the end of it, I clicked the button to pay, and it wouldn't work. So I saved myself fast food, and instead I had a.
The universe is telling you.
Yeah, exactly. Instead, I ordered from District Taco. I got a burrito bowl instead. Walked over and picked it up. It was much more healthy. I see Joe joined, although it looks like he might be messing with his machine right now. That looks like fun. Not exactly the types of swing I've seen hanging from ceilings and other people's houses, but
Hanging from the ceiling fan. Let it rip around.
Oh, right. All right.
yeah, it's like your own little carnival at your house. Just tie your kid to the ceiling fan.
Hey, she can't go to the playground, so she's got a park in the living room. Anybody want to see my dinner?
Sure. What do you
Go
got?
ahead.
I've got crispy cod, and asparagus in my air fryer.
That looks nice and easy to do. I might need to get one of those.
Dude, it is awesome.
Good, Joe.
Even my husband, who does not cook, I don't need you to see my crappy thing. Even Jim said he loves it because he can cook with it. It's awesome.
What kind of air fryer is that?
Oreos for dessert.
What kind of air fryer is that?
Oh, it's Rob, do you mind if I plug? I don't want to.
No, go ahead.
It's
The
Pampered
5
Chef.
people that are watching, I don't think
Pampered Chef. Oh, okay.
What's that?
I said that's why. It's top of the line.
Well, yeah.
Duh.
Definitely.
Oh, should we surprisingly put Jocelyn on the camera right now? No, I'm kidding. She's on the phone. I'm not going to do it. Joe and Jocelyn are trying to get their situation worked out.
Yeah.
Jocelyn's an editor friend of mine, and Joe is her, I don't know, husband or boyfriend. I'm not really sure if they're married officially yet or not.
If not, I can marry them.
You could marry them. You have done it before. You've married other friends of mine in the past.
Yeah.
But Jocelyn is like, she's a television editor, so she's got this ridiculous setup. And I think Joe doesn't know how to work it. I think that's what's going on. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure he knows.
Hey, Rob, why don't you put me in the background for a little bit while I eat my dinner?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, let's talk to Heather about what's going on over there. If anything changed, if anything, are they telling you what's going on? Whether people that are living, people that are dying. I rather talk about people that beat this disease.
Yeah, and I talked to my students. I talked to my students because I was kind of freaked out. And it's the language, isn't it? Because I don't have a language. And I said to them, I was like, well, what do you think? And they're like, well, it's just a little more because we lived under communism, didn't we? Okay. And they said, and we want this to end, don't we? Yes. And they were saying, so if they say stay home, we stay home. Okay. If they say don't go to the shops, we don't go to the shops because you went to shop yesterday. And I said, yeah, I bought like my pasta and all this, And they were like, so yes, we will all just sit tight for 2 weeks and then the numbers will go down, won't they? And they started talking about like the numbers because Poland isn't really bad and stuff. And I'm like, okay, I kind of get this. You know what I mean? Like, nobody's going out. No one's doing anything. Basically, sit tight and wait.
Okay.
Wow. That's crazy. Just the comparison. I'm going to see if Joe's all right. The comparison to,
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me? All right. Well, that's fine.
Now we lost it.
No, we hear you just fine, but we'll give you
go
a
right
minute.
there.
I think it's so funny. The comparison between somebody who's lived in communism and now this. So
Yeah.
it's odd that's like a comparison that they're making. I didn't think about it.
No, and they were kind of like, we lived through communism? Yeah, of course. If the government, and we agree with the government, that was the thing, because they agree with the government. So that's why they're kind of like, yeah, we're going to stay home because we agree with government. If they didn't agree with the government, then they wouldn't be.
Yeah, there'd be a bit of a mutiny.
Yeah, but they're kind of like, yeah, and they have a huge agreement. The government has like huge support with what they're doing and stuff. So everything here is kind of like, okay, we're just going to hang tight. We're going to hang tight till Easter and see what happens.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. I mean, it's almost like a voluntary Wuhan style shutdown. You know what I mean? That's
yeah.
To some extent. And we were looking last night, looking at just all the different projections around what you do, whether it's Wuhan style lockdown or a real loose lockdown or a barely enforced lockdown, just all the different impacts of it. Let's see if Joe's on.
Yo,
you got me now?
Finally, I had to bring my wife. I had to bring the technical expert in, which is my wife, in order to get it all working. So sorry about that.
No, it's all good. It was actually one drink's worth of my sweet drink.
I definitely know I got more than one drink in here. This is straight bourbon, so
nice.
I'm gonna have to measure this out.
So, Joe, tell everyone just a little bit about, like how we know each other, and well, you don't have to go that far. I don't want everybody to know that much about.
We met at an Eagles tailgate.
We met at an Eagles. No.
So
I'm gonna go drink. I'll be back in 30 seconds.
I was at this bar called Roosters, and I walked in. I saw him wearing a really nice tight pants, and I just thought that's somebody I want to talk to. No, I'm just kidding. He actually went on a first date with my wife, and like I don't know, it was a year or so before I met her, and they
weren't married at the time. Okay.
No, I didn't even know her. And they went on a date, and it was I don't know, whatever. Just they didn't click or whatever. And about a little bit after I had started seeing Josh, they had talked a little bit online, just saying, hey, what's up, and invited him, and then we met an Eagles game. It's the first time, right? You came, hung out.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have to tell everybody the dirty secret about Jocelyn, but yeah. I mean,
dirty secret. Listen, I'm 45 years old. People meet each other, and then they don't go. Not everybody gets married the first time they meet somebody. I mean, like everybody's been on dates at my age. Everybody's had sex and met. You're not meeting a 45-year-old virgin, so that's not true. So
it's a 40-year-old virgin.
That is true. Yeah. That's very, very true. Yeah. No, but we've developed a friendship now over the years. We meet up at the games, we hang out outside of it a little bit, and we've become buddies. He's a great guy. He's a good friend.
Thank you. The first time I met Joe, I was like, man, this guy is awesome. Like I have to say I had like a man crush. Like I fell in love with the dude. And I was so happy for him and Jocelyn, because like they're so perfect together. And then when I first started the show, I was talking to Joe about Joe and I've become a little bit close about life stuff, and I was talking to Joe about kind of why I was doing this, to kind of bring people together and for my own sanity a little bit as well. And when I started to come up with the idea of doing it and making it a little bit more topical, instead of just a bunch of people just doing nothing but BS. I love the BSing part, by the way. Don't get me wrong. Joe was like, "Well, how do you feel about talking about this?" And he sends me this video. And I don't know how long the video was. What was it, 15, 20 minutes long? Something like
20, 25 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, so a little inside story about myself. I spend way too much time in the shower, and I bring my phone in there, and I watch videos or whatever I do, Not those kinds, just like regular YouTube videos, or scroll through Facebook. It's my relaxing time to sit with the heat and just kind of chill out. So I'm watching this video from Joe, and I'm like, holy crap. So there's this entire story that I think, Joe, you might go through tonight, but about him, and it blew my mind, and I was like, all right, this is such an incredible story. And from a timing perspective, what we're kind of going through right now, being stuck at home, is really, at least for myself, really kind of forced me to, kind of face some things that my whole life I haven't really ever faced, right? So this isolation is kind of making me work on my own health, right? Not just physical health, but mental health, right? And for years and years and years, I kind of just tried to keep myself busy and comfort myself like that, instead of make myself healthy and then find comfort through that health, right? So it's a little bit of a unique situation. So when Joe was going through his story and talks about what he went through, I was like, holy crap, like this is very topical and timely. I mean, a completely different story, but what we're going through versus what I'm going through with regards to finding healthiness mentally, or just sitting in an empty apartment, making sure I'm finding some healthiness instead of comfort, because we can't have comfort right now. It was just a really crazy story. So, Joe, I'm not sure if you want to, talk a little bit about, some of the things that you speak to around, how we deal with, I don't know, these type of situations. And I'm gonna add Daniel. Look, Daniel's joined as well.
That's my buddy Dan. There's my boy. What's up, bud? I invited a couple guys to see if they could get
that's
in
all
with
good.
us.
Yeah, I mean, they watch, talk, ask questions, interact. It's all good.
So Dan knows a lot about this and the power of positivity, and a big theme that I always talk about when I'm talking to large groups, or if I'm doing some of the work with our nonprofit, we talk about being greater than your current circumstances. And being greater than your current circumstances applies to pretty much everything that you're doing. No matter what you're having to currently deal with in your life, whether it's a modified lockdown like this, or a bad breakup, or loss of a job, or the death of a loved one. Those are your circumstances. You have a very clear choice when those things happen to either accept the reality for what it is, be honest with yourself, and then decide how you're going to react. Are you going to rise above it, or are you going to fall into the trap of self-pity, self-doubt, and allow circumstances to control your life instead of you controlling what's around you? And this that we're all dealing with is, 3/4 of the country, I think it is now, are on some type of modified lockdown. For a guy like me and a guy like Dan, I spent 7.5 years in prison as a bank robber. Went on a nice little spree, and made some money. I was in a very self-destructive path. I was allowing myself to really fall down an idea of suicide and ending my life and all that kind of fun stuff. And it ended up with a trip to Oregon State Prison for 7.5 years for a robbery in the first degree. And, I didn't think it could get much worse than that. And then about a year in, I ended up doing a year in what we call DSU, or you might call it solitary, or whatever the heck it is, for investigations for some pretty severe assaults. And in that time, there was this amazing woman named Trime, who was the Eastern religions study woman, who would walk the tier throughout, DSU, and she would offer meditation instruction. And I feel so bad for not making it on the show yesterday, because I really wanted to talk about mindfulness and see about Dharma and all that wonderful stuff. But it was very practical, and she would teach me how to meditate, very short, for 10 minutes at a time or whatever, and slide these teachings underneath about self-worth and that you're worthy of love, that every human being is, to a certain extent, and everybody has the opportunity to be better than who they are right now and improve who they are. And it spoke to me, and I really dove into it. I started meditating hardcore. At about 6 months into it, I had opened my eyes one day from a meditation session, and I said to myself, I didn't say it to myself, I knew it. I said, I'm never going to hurt another human being for the rest of my life. Not consciously anyway. Never going to try to hurt another person. And it was almost immediately after that everything changed. I got out of the institution and I went to work in Oregon. They had these things. They have this call center that Dan worked at, which is, Dan and I hung out for a bunch of years on there, and we went to work doing teleprospecting for businesses in the U.S. Setting appointments for Xerox and all these other corporations that are out there, and they would hire us, and we would be the people making the phone calls for it. And I excelled at it. I loved it. I dove into it. I put tons into it. I put a ton into working out. I put a ton into meditation. And over time, I started to see real changes. And I progressed from there, from a caller to a prospector to a lead. And that all led to when I was about a year and a half out from release, the owner of the company came out from Detroit and offered me a job to head up his business development when I released. And it was a very low end job. It was just, we'll give you a small base salary, and, whatever you commission, whatever you bring on, I'll get a piece of it. And, 8 years later, I was president of the company. And, and through all of that and through everything that happened with it, the one thing that has been constant in my life is kindness, love, and coming from a perspective of no matter what my circumstances are, I'm going to rise above it. I'm going to be greater than it. And I recently, literally just 4 weeks ago, left Demand, which is the company that I've was working for 15 years, including the time inside. And I just became a business development director for a major corporation here on the East Coast that covers from New York down to DC and all the way across. So I've been able to parlay these practices and an incredible, what I feel is an incredible work ethic, into a career that's been able to provide me a lot of things that I've never been able to do before and pass along a lot of love. One of the biggest things I think, even greater than that I learned while I was in there was there were several deaf inmates inside the institution. And I learned sign language while I was there, and I became the interpreter and got out and continued to work in the deaf community, and actually started a business that helped deaf people communicate virtually with doctors' offices and, in areas that they need to do it. And that's a big passion of my life. And I'm on the board of directors of a nonprofit that helps guys get jobs when they get out. If they're putting the work in and doing all the things that they need to do, we're doing everything we can to help them get gainful employment when they get out, to try to break the cycle. Not at all a handout or a giveaway, but a hand up. If a guy's working his ass off and he's doing everything he's supposed to do, we'll do everything we can to get him a job. And that kind of leads into Dan. Dan didn't need the nonprofit, and it wasn't completely up to go. But Dan is in Oregon. He got out of Portland, and he took his sales skills, and he's been running with it for years now, and he's been kicking ass and taking names as well. So, in this time when we're talking about, the creature comforts that we're having to deal with, we can't go to the store, we can't go to restaurants, and we can't go to, this and that. We have to stay 6 feet apart from people. I'm not saying it's a minor thing. It's very major for people. Anybody who has to lose freedom on any level is difficult, but be greater than your current circumstance. Step up, find a way to, through love, kindness, and hard work, to do something better for yourself and the people around you, and the rewards will never end. And that's kind of it, man. Yeah, that's a nutshell.
No, that's a crazy nutshell. But like that whole transformation, I can't imagine. Like, I've spent probably the past 5 years, and I've been doing a lot of self-thinking and therapy and whatnot to try and figure what the hell I'm supposed to do with life. But one of the things that I'll be clear. I still meet with a therapist once a week or every other week, and on today's video call with my therapist, we were talking, and it was so related to this. I mean, obviously, I didn't go through anything like Dan and Joe, you guys have been through, so I can't imagine this little bit of a lockdown. I can still go walk outside if I want to, not a problem.
Sure.
I can still go to Wegmans if I want to. I might have to stand 6 feet away from the cashier, and maybe she has to walk away when I do my credit card or whatever, but I can still have some human interaction,
Sure.
So by no means, the same. But what I'm finding it's forcing is, and one of the things that you said, Joe, in your talk that I saw is like, and this is kind of, for the majority of my life, it was like about comfort, right? So I did things to be comfortable. And I wouldn't necessarily do healthy things, right? I mean, I wasn't necessarily robbing banks, but okay. I was doing things that made me comfortable. So, even when it was like when I went and started the brewery, it was like, all right, if I just start this brewery and do this, then I'll be good. And then it was like, if I just do this, then I'll be good. And it was all about that, just comfort and maybe in some ways some self-soothing. I'm not really sure.
Emotions.
Yeah, well, and then in the past 5 years or so, since I've been separated from my wife, I've torn all of that away, right? So I haven't been comfortable at all, right? Like I'm sure it was the same situation when you were in prison, right? Like how can you be comfortable in prison, right? Physically or
Not possible, right, Dan?
It's hard.
Yeah, I can't imagine it's anything but. But you must get to a place where you're like, all right, and this is where I'm kind of finding where I am now is like, okay, so I keep trying to do these things to be more comfortable. But shit's always going to happen in life that's going to not be comfortable. Right. So right now we're on lockdown, right? And whatever else happens in life that makes it so you're not comfortable. And for the past 5 years, I've been in a situation where I'm like, what is going on? I keep working on improving myself, but I keep getting knocked back, and I keep getting knocked back, and I keep getting knocked back. Yeah. And I started realizing that it's because I was focused on the wrong thing. Being focused on trying to be comfortable isn't what you need to focus on. So for me, it's more about focusing on being healthy. Yeah. Focusing on being healthy mentally and physically and just whatever, right? And the comfort, if you can find, I don't know, I'm still not there, honestly. But if you can get to a place where you're healthy, physically, mentally, whatever, then uncomfortable stuff that happens, it just happens. I mean, it doesn't mean it's not hard. It doesn't mean it still doesn't hurt. It still doesn't mean that you don't have to deal with it, because you do, whether it's being locked down or a breakup or a loss of job or whatever it is that happens in your life. Yeah. And I'm not going to go so far as even to say, from a Buddhist perspective, where it's like, okay, well, whatever, it happens, because you still feel it, right? You still have to go through the experience of whatever that is, right? So I got to imagine for Dan and Joe, like, did you get to that place? Is that a similar situation? Like when you were locked up, do you get to a place where you're like, all right, I got to find a way to just find peace and comfort within myself?
Well, for me, and please, Dan, jump in.
I will.
Yeah, for me, it was I try to shun the idea of comfort as much as possible, because when you strive for comfort, you strive for complacency. And to me, that always feel like, don't get me wrong, I want a nice house, which it doesn't look like I'm in the basement, but we want a nice house, we want nice things, we want good things, but a lot of that stuff really just kind of starts to go away when your mindset is I want to improve. When your thought is I want to improve, comfort doesn't matter, because no improvement happens in comfort, right? And for me, that was kind of what I really pushed on, and that was what kind of spoke for me really, really, really well, that I had read again and again and again, is that from conflict, that Martin Luther King said, a true measure of a man is not how he reacts in times of comfort, but how he reacts when faced with conflict and difficulty. To me, that was a preaching thing that really spoke to me over and over again. So Dan, go ahead. I'm sorry, bro. I'm kind of taking this shit over. I don't want to.
No, you're good. It's a conversation
here, Joe. For me, what it really came down to was one of the things that I tell people when I tell my story now is that I was raised by fucking wolves. You know what I mean? And it is what it is. At a certain point, and this is where I started to make my change. I used to always say, well, it's in my DNA. My father was killed by the Portland police and this and that and all these other things. And I had all these reasons and excuses why my life sucked, and how the world owed me this or the world owed me that. And then what it finally came down to for me, I've been incarcerated 5 times, and I'm not proud of that. But to this day, I'm not necessarily ashamed of it either. I'm willing to tell my story to people and hope that it helps them. But I've been incarcerated 5 times, and the last time I was incarcerated was January 16th, 2009, I got arrested when I went into my parole officer's office for armed robbery. They arrested me and I didn't see freedom again for almost 10 years. When I got sentenced in court and I went to Coffee Creek, which is our intake center, this is where you get they decide what your treatment plans and all that kind of stuff are going to be, what institution you go to, security levels and all that stuff. I'm sitting in there one day and I didn't have a cellie at the time, which is unusual at Coffee Creek. So I'm in this cell by myself, and I just came to a point where it just came over me. Like in the middle of the night, I'll never forget. I woke up at about 1 o'clock in the morning, and I looked up. I looked around me. There was nothing. No refrigerator. A toilet in the corner of the room. And I said to myself, my life fucking sucks. I got to do something. I got to make a change. And at that moment, I made two decisions. One, that I would be personally accountable for my actions from this moment forward, that I would no longer blame my choices or my actions on somebody else or past circumstances or any of that stuff. I would stand up and say, this is my fault and this is what I'm going to do to fix it. And that's what I did. From that moment on, I made a conscious decision right there that I was going to completely change the way I did everything. In the past, when I'd been incarcerated, I'd go to jail, I'd get right into politics, I'd start hustling or doing whatever it was I was doing. Never really making any effort to do anything to really do anything to change my life. And when I made the decision, and I firmly believe this, I tell people this now all day, every day, if they ask me and they say, what do you contribute your change to? And it's all about personal accountability. And that applies to the situation as well. You know, we all know that this is a dangerous situation. We should do things to ensure that we don't perpetuate that. And we need to be accountable. And it's not to other people. When you start to improve your life is when you become accountable to yourself. When you become accountable to yourself and you can look in the mirror and say, you know what, I screwed that up. I should have done better. And you actually do better, that's when your life will start to improve. Until you can get past that point of everything is somebody else's fault and everything is your circumstances and all that other stuff, you're always going to struggle and you're always going to make it okay in your mind to go back to another behavior that maybe isn't conducive to a positive life. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So for me, that's what it became. And so I made the decision right there at like 1:30 in the morning or whatever it was that I was going to do a couple things. I was going to try to get into an industry's job. And I was going to change my stuff. I was going to develop a good work ethic because I never really had a job before. I mean, my job had always been being a criminal. That's what I'd been since I was like 10 years old. So I got a job. I worked there the whole time. I parlayed that job into, you know, other opportunities. There was a call center over at another institution. I went over there, got it going, did some things. And then when I got out, I continued to do the same thing. I just was accountable to myself each and every day. So if I say that, you know, no matter what, I don't care if it's $1 million, I'm not doing anything that's going to risk my freedom. And I'm accountable to myself at all times. If I make a mistake at work, I don't blame it on somebody else or whatever. I just say, you know what, I screwed that up. I'm sorry. Let me do better. And so that's what I encourage people. If you're really trying to change your life, if you really want to make some real changes in your life, it starts with personal accountability. And you have to be able to look in the mirror and say, I fucked up. And when you do, you have to do something to change that. You can't just say, yeah, I screwed up, and then go back to the crack pipe. You know what I mean? That doesn't quite work.
Fuck
you
yeah.
have to be accountable to yourself, and you have to be serious about, you know, making some real changes and figuring out what those were. I knew what mine needed to be. I needed a work ethic. I needed to, you know, change the way I think so that I didn't always believe that people owed me things or that, you know, it was okay to do the things that I did. And once I did that, you know, I mean, my life isn't as great as I want it to be, but I'm free. I don't have no stress. I'm about to be released from parole. I've been unsupervised for over a year. Halfway through, I went straight to unsupervised. I don't have to report to nobody. Like, this is the first time in my life that, you know, my life is smooth. Now, financially, you know, there's obviously things I could do better and all that stuff, but that comes with time.
That's all right. We're gonna move you to Philly, and you're gonna come and work with me, and then you'll financially it'll all be no problem, bro.
Right. But you know, it's really simple. I mean, I'd like to think that it's something super difficult, and you know what I mean. I'd like to make this sound like I've got some kind of great, you know, insight, or I've, you know, ready to change the world or something. But it really just comes down to real simple things that I'll learn as kids in kindergarten. You know. Be accountable to yourself, be accountable to those around you, and just behave yourself. You know what I mean? Act like a civilized being, and everything tends to work out pretty good.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that bad shit doesn't happen. I mean, it does.
Oh,
And the biggest thing that really got hard for me when I was focusing and dealing with this is that 99% of the shit that went bad in my life was self-inflicted.
oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it was all my shit. I wasn't a victim. I was the aggressor. It was all me. And that's the hardest thing to come to grips with and accept and to go, you know, this is my fault. You really, really fucked this up. Like, that's the hardest thing to be honest with yourself about, I think. But once you can do that, everything starts to change, you know? I feel like we're taking over this conversation. I feel
No, it's cool. No, it's good. I'm curious, like, how, Dan, like, what's it? Well, where are you? You're in Oregon?
Yeah, I'm in Portland, Oregon.
Oh, in Portland. So, like, what's it like out there right now? Like, what kind of changes have happened in your life because of all the crap that's going on, and how are you dealing with it, and or how is your background and history and experience giving you the ability to deal with it maybe better than other people?
Right. Well, Oregon, we are a very liberal state here in Oregon. And so we don't, like Idaho's our neighbor. It's a completely different situation over there, right? They're a right to work state, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, but basically our governor got on board pretty quick. We weren't the first state to say, hey, we're going to sit in for a while, but we were right on top of it. And we're doing good. I've noticed that the first couple of days nobody was on the roads. I was getting to work in like 10 minutes. It was the greatest thing ever. And now people are starting to kind of come back out and maybe get around a little bit, which is a little concerning because people are getting frustrated with the being at home kind of thing. But what I would say, the biggest thing that's helped me is because of the situations that I've been in the past, I'm used to sitting still and not being able to do nothing. You know what I mean? Like and the lockdown thing is inconvenient, and it's certainly all that. And I don't want to, my goal is never to glamorize or anything like that, my old lifestyle. But what I would definitely say is, Joe did it like a year in DSU. Until you've done 6 months or a year in DSU, where you're basically in this little tiny room 23 hours a day and there's no one else around, and the only person you can talk to is through a door, that's an experience that will that'll change your life. And if you're not able to deal with that, it can have some real negative consequences. Fortunately, Oregon is not like some states. Some states have indefinite segregation rules and stuff like that. I mean, like California, for instance, if you're a validated gang member, you never come out of the hole. So just imagine if you get a 10-year sentence.
Oh, yeah.
They're 23 and a half hours a day in a little tiny box. And the only time you come out for exercise is in a freaking dog cage.
Literally a dog freaking cage. I mean, like, yeah.
Literally. So for me, I have a little bit more ability to deal with these kind of situations, I think, because I've been in similar circumstances where I was, forced to deal with it. That being said, that's one of the things that I'm fairly passionate about, is reforming these situations. I was fortunate last year to be able to assist in a very small, but nonetheless, I worked on a campaign to remove juveniles. So Oregon has a law called Measure 11, and what Measure 11 does is it imposes mandatory minimum sentencing guidelines. So, for instance, the crime that Joe was convicted of is a Measure 11, which means that his 7.5 years he did day for day with no good time. The way Measure 11 in Oregon is, previously, anyone 15 years old or older, there was no doubt, no question, it was an automatic thing. Through some work that we did last year, and I believe that it was, I'm not trying to blow my trumpet too hard here. It was a small contribution, but I'm proud of it nonetheless. Is we were able to convince the Oregon Senate and the House of Legislators to remove juveniles automatically from Measure 11. So now, if you're a 50-year-old kid, in order for you to be sentenced under, day for day kind of, these long draconian sentences, they actually have to go and talk to a judge and convince the judge why it shouldn't be handled in family court. And so those are things, that's what I really would like to, just kind of throwing this out there. I guess it's not unrelated a little bit, but that's where I see my life now, is where I would really like to make a difference is, in that kind of an instance. There's still states like, for instance, Georgia, where if you get caught with a gram of weed, you can go to prison for 5 years. That's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just dumb.
It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. He's got a little too. I love it. I've got a few of those myself. So, it's just things like that. And, that's one of the things that I would like to be more involved in, I guess, is ways to just get people to understand that not everybody that's incarcerated is like, there's some people that are incarcerated. I'll tell you straight up, I've met people that I would never, ever let out of jail. Like, they would stay.
Listen, there are so many guys that are there and should absolutely stay there for the rest of their lives. Like, let's, and it's a sad situation, and it is what it is, but the system exists for a reason, and that reason is valid. When one of the reasons I gravitate, every guy that works at the call center up there, when they get out, I'm one of the first people they hit up on Facebook, and everybody's asking for a job, everybody's asking for a handout or something like that, and you have to be very mindful of what you can do to help and what you can't do, and that was really, really hard for me in the beginning, because I kind of wanted to keep telling myself, again, this maximum of my life of kindness, love, and compassion is to offer it to everyone, but and that's not to say that you can't, but you also have to be discerning in who gets how much of that. You can be kind, but it doesn't mean you have to open up and empty your cash drawer for it. You can offer compassion, but it doesn't mean you have to give everyone a job, and it's hard, and there are some controversial things that I believe that, unfortunately that society may believe or not believe. And, to get a little controversial, I do believe, and I think I've seen enough of it to know that, sex crimes, especially pedophilia, are just things that it's not curable. There's some sadness to that. And maybe that's taking a little bit too much of a dark turn, but there's a reason for those places.
Happy hour, not sad hour. No,
yeah. So
real though. Real.
But ultimately, at the end of the day, it does come down to what you're going to do to improve yourself and improve the life of the people around you. And I think, if there's anything that I can be really proud of that, is that, I have a little 18-month-old girl at home who is the most magical thing in the entire world. And I would have never been in the position to take care of a child when I was 25. I would have never been able to be the guy that can offer the kind of unconditional love, because I was so self-centered and so selfish. But, the experience that I'm in, I was incredibly grateful for. I look back on it with real gratitude of my time there. I mean, without it, I wouldn't have the career that I have. Without it, I wouldn't have the amazing woman that I have. I wouldn't have the 2 boys that Joss, and to kind of, what, I'm just going to stop and veer off for a second. My wife is the single greatest human being that's ever walked the face of the earth. She adopted 2 boys over a decade ago, one from Liberia and one from China. She adopted Isaac, whose birthday is today. He turned 20 years old today. Nice. And she was in Liberia, and she was doing some humanitarian work, and she came across Isaac, who had what was called a shark fin spine, where it went out, like 10 inches. And they didn't expect him to live to 13. So she was working in California as a film and TV editor. She went back and brought the paperwork and found the doctors that could fix him, and spent the money and adopted him and brought him to the U.S. And 13 operations later, the kid got a varsity letter in wrestling, and he's in college right now, and kid's killing life. And a couple of years after that, she found Jack in China with very similar back operation issues, and 27 surgeries later, Jack is between the two of them. Jack has just been accepted to Drexel University, and he starts in the fall. So taking a schlub like me on is like that was the easiest thing in the world for her to do. You know? I'm a cakewalk compared to all that, and now we have this beautiful little girl that we get to enjoy and love every single day. And I wouldn't be here if I didn't go through there. So it's all worth it. It's all beautiful.
Yeah, you know one thing. And Joe probably attests to this, used to drive people crazy, is I'd like to believe that I was always this positive person deep down. And when I was at the call center with Joe, I too made my way through some things and became a trainer and eventually a project.
Yeah.
And every day when I came into the morning, I'd always write something on the board. Something, just I call it motivational. You know what I mean? Your attitude determines your altitude is one of my favorite things. I still to this day, like that is something I say to somebody at least once a day. I start hearing, people whining about this or whining about that or whatever. You know what I mean? I don't have a lot of but that's what I tell them, and it's so freaking true. It's 100% true. Your attitude determines everything. So if you want to be all day, every day, sad, depressed, mopey, angry, whatever, that's what you're going to attract. 100% of the time, it's going to come fucking back to you, and it's going to suck.
And chemically, there are things that we all dealt with a certain stack deck. I mean, we all know that. For me, the 3 core things are meditation, medication, and therapy. You know what I mean? Like those are the 3 things that I have to always kind of keep mindful of. And, whether that therapy comes from a loved one or a professional, you have to be able to talk it out.
Mm-hmm.
But Dan was one of the guys that I really gravitated toward while I was in there because Dan has a work ethic like most people don't have, and I was always drawn to that. I always say I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I'm definitely not the best looking. Me and Gru from Despicable Me could win a twins contest. But I always say there aren't many people who can outwork me. And to me that was something I've always fed on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What about Matt and H, man? I didn't even hear your guys' voices yet. Shit, we've taken over this whole thing.
No, it's very interesting, I'll be honest, because it's a completely different perspective. So.
Yeah. I mean, the general perspective is a good thing. The general perspective is that when guys go into the system and they're doing that stuff in their life, that there's really not a lot of hope, that all they're going to do is get caught in this cycle of sadness, misery, and anger and crime and just hurt people. And it's not true. There's so much beauty that exists inside an institution. There's a lot of really good people that do good things. And, one of the things we did, I think it started 2 years before I released, was on Christmas Day, we made 2 burritos for every guy in our unit. There's 150 guys in a unit. And we had to get with the guard and sneak and say, hey, can you go upstairs in the tower and distract the guy? We want to give 2 burritos to everybody for Christmas. And she was like, what are you guys, nuts? I'm like, well, and we had a couple guys that all, pitched in. And as the guys were coming out, everybody's handing burritos. And these guys are like, what the fuck is going on, man? This is crazy. What the heck's happening, And for that night, you saw guys talking to each other that would never talk to each other before. And everybody's walking around eating burritos with shit-eating grins on Christmas, And Christmas is one of the saddest days of the year. But for that moment, we did it. And one of the things that I think I'm most proud of is that has actually continued in the unit or the block that I was in, over now is 10 years ago, and they still do it every single year. So stuff like that is like, that exists. There's beauty in everything. There's, even in a crappy place like that, there's beauty and love everywhere you go. And I think that's something that if you just open your eyes to it, it's going to happen. And I think we're seeing it now. For all the craziness and all the blame and everything that's going on and the sadness, there are so many people that you see that are just doing kind things to help everybody else. And, even if it's just something as simple to going through a drive-through and thanking that person who's working the drive-through for coming to work today, so that you get something to eat, or and I've seen stories about people who were, giving masks away and finding ways to just help take care of healthcare workers and try to care for people. I think I think unfortunately we don't focus enough on that, but I think that exists a whole lot more than the hurt and the pain that's out there, especially what we're seeing right now.
the 7-Elevens here in Portland, and I don't know if this is like a nationwide thing or if it's a 7-Eleven thing or just like here locally, but the 7-Elevens here in Portland, Monday through Friday between 11 and 12 are giving free lunches to all kids.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, normally it'd be in school. So, I don't know, if you're a teenager or whatever and you need lunch, bam, you can go to 7-Eleven, they give you a pizza, a soda, and like a bag of chips or something.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
Awesome. Like,
So,
and I posted this on Facebook yesterday. Plaid Pantry is like done for me. Like 7-Eleven is my new like convenience store now. Like that is so awesome that, you know, it's a relatively small thing, but still it's so awesome just to have that mindset that you want to do something for someone else unselfishly. That's huge.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Matt, we cut you off.
yeah, no, I was just saying that our schools, our public schools, are still doing lunches for anybody and anything. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you didn't, qualify or for the pre-made lunches at school. Every day at 12 o'clock, you just show up. That's our school district.
That's fantastic.
So,
Yeah.
Is that North Penn?
no, that's PV, Perkins Valley.
Yeah. Okay.
So, Dan or Joe, like, how's this situation been for you guys?
For me, it's easy breezy. I mean, our company has moved on to a virtual, base where we do morning conference calls with all of our sales reps and all the staff, and then we do N1s, and we're checking in. We use Microsoft Teams, and everybody kind of does their thing, and it's been pretty easy for me. I mean, the hardest thing I think has been to try to do the best and I still need to work on this is to try to get away from honing in on the fucking numbers, man. It's fucking numbers, man.
Yeah, they're going to be crazy.
20% today in this state, 15% in this state, up 32% in this state, 19. And the numbers are bullshit. Like they're not real. They don't tell the true story of how many people are actually sick, how many people who have it. They found that thing in Iran where they discovered World Health Organization was finding pits where they were just burning bodies and they weren't counting them.
Yeah, in Iran.
And China now it's coming out that they've grossly undersaid their numbers. And I was listening to this amazing scientist on the Joe Rogan podcast. I don't know if you guys saw it. I thought
we saw it.
Freaking spectacular. But he said take whatever number you read and add 2 zeros to it. And that's the true number of what's going on. But yet I'm obsessed with 19,000, with 18, and I keep having to and thank God for Josh keeps going, it's 6 o'clock, it's 7 o'clock, shut it off. It's enough. Stop looking.
But
watch the movie.
Let's watch the numbers of the survivors, as in, when on Facebook, oh, this will never be seen, as all the survivors walked through the Italian hospital and they were clapping, every day in New York City. They're clapping for the first responders, the NYPD, the FDNY, everybody, the nurses, stuff like that. Everybody's dwelling on the bullshit when we need to go for the positive.
Yeah.
Because that's what you were just saying, that if you dwell on the bullshit and the negative, we're never going to get anywhere in life. We're just always going to sit here and toss a bale of hay and throw it against a wall. We're never going to go anywhere.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So let's look at the numbers that who's living. Yes, unfortunately, they're dying. It's a disease. It's a virus. It's we can't fight it. The best thing to do is stay at home, as Justin would say. So
I messaged him to see if he wanted to join us. A buddy of ours, Justin, is up in Seattle. He has it. And
man,
he's recovered now. He's recovering. I think he's pretty much back to normal, but he was he is a twin, and they were his twin from LA came up to visit him, and they had a party, they went bowling for their birthday, I think it was their 40th birthday.
Carrie.
It was karaoke. There was bowling, karaoke. Oh, it was karaoke. Yeah, that's right. It was karaoke.
They shared the mic.
Somebody that was there from China, that had just gotten back from China, and never said anything to anybody. Everybody that was there got sick. So, but he's 40 years old, relatively healthy, doesn't smoke anymore, so he talks about just the weird stuff about, what happened. But, if he hears the stories of like me going to Delaware to go hit the liquor store, he'd be like, he would freak out, like, what are you doing? Like,
I
stay
made a
down.
Jersey run. I'm fucking.
Yeah. Well,
Where do you think this came from?
Before all this happened, I went out and I bought a couple of the P95 masks just in case.
Yeah.
I had two, one for me and one for a friend of mine who no longer needs it. So
Me.
I have them sitting there, yeah, Matt. I have them sitting there, but I'm trying to, instead of breaking that open, I'm trying to just stay inside, or at least.
Yeah, I mean, that's the crazy part is what do you do? Like, do you really just kind of isolate yourself as if you have it, or do you venture out and try to live some semblance of life? And Joss and I, we're still going to the store. We're still trying to at least have some semblance of at least normality, and she makes it easy. And I don't mean to make this about her, but you guys obviously know how crazy I am about her. Like she's just this hardworking, nothing's going to get in her way and we're going to get it done, and but it's so hard to like walk out the door and we're University City, West Philly, more West Philly than University City. And one of the saddest things we saw was, when all this first started happening, every fucking asshole in the world was buying more toilet paper than they'll ever freaking need.
Right.
We would go to the stores in West Philly and they would be stocked. And we realized that they're not stocked because people don't want to buy it. They're stocked because people can't afford to buy it. Like we're like shit. Well, all right, well, let's go spend $400 and stock up on like canned goods and like the necessities just in case they lock us down for 30 days, make it a little bit easier. And we're like, yeah, let's go. And we're looking and like there's just all the shelves are full because so many people. What's that crazy stat? What percentage of Americans can't afford a $400 emergency? And so it's not like people in our area can just go, all right, the hell with it. Let's just go spend, $500 and stock up the shelves.
A lot of people, a lot of people live paycheck to paycheck, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of my friends live paychecks to paychecks. I mean, shit, I ain't gonna tell you I'm a millionaire. I live paycheck to paycheck. I mean, I'm 30 something years old. I don't even know how old I am right now. And I have a 7-year-old that goes to daycare. It's scary sitting out here thinking like, all right, well, do we buy shit tickets or chicken? I don't know what to do.
Yeah, and that's it. That's the fucking craziness about all this. And $1,200 is great. I'm not saying it's not, but if this extends for more months, like my biggest concern is civil unrest. Like I kind of worry about that a little bit, and I hope that people can find a way to not get that upset. But if people come down to the fact of trying to just put food on the table for their kids, we have to be mindful of that.
So Joe, Heather is from Poland.
Oh no shit.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm from Lansdale.
Yeah, she's from Lansdale. She lives in Poland. And are they talking about stimulus checks over there at all?
They're saying it's unemployment's going to be at least 10% out of work by the end.
Yeah. Are they? Sorry.
It's really good because I teach and I have adult students mostly, and most of my students have kids. And if you have a child who's under age 8, and it doesn't matter, like as long as you're working somewhere, it doesn't matter where, you can say, yes, I have a child under age 8, and you just got 2 weeks off at 80% pay.
Wow.
Fantastic.
They close the schools, so what are they going to do?
Yeah. Canada gave 80% to every single Canadian citizen across the board for the next 2 months. Like any person that, like, if you can't work, that's at 80%. South Korea did the same thing. South Korea has been so far ahead of the curve. Again, talking about positivity. When South Korea, where they had their first case that hit, they basically instituted all these rules all the way across the board and said all mortgage payments are suspended, all rent payments are like they mandated. They said you cannot charge these people while we attack this virus, while we attack this issue, and that's heartwarming. That's absolutely beautiful. Like,
and then Daniel's in Oregon.
Yeah, I'm in Oregon. So basically, what they're doing out here is the governor has basically said you cannot give evictions to anybody right now. You can't evict anybody for non-payment of rent. They're not waiving though. I was fortunate when I first got out. I had to make a decision. I went to an interview downtown Portland it's kind of 50-50 now when I look back on it, but I had an interview. I went to this interview for a call center position. They did credit card processing, something that I had done at another in the facilities. And so I went to the interview. I had a great interview, and they basically offered me a team leader's job, and it was going to be a great little job. The problem that I felt like I had is I also had this other opportunity available to me, which was working for this nonprofit here in Oregon or in Portland, and the pay was significantly less. I mean, if I had taken the other job, I'd be probably a lot closer to where I want to be financially right now. And this is another one of those incidences, and I try to maintain positivity about these things, but it's another one of the problems with being a convicted felon in this country. And, in an ultra liberal state like Oregon, it's still a problem, is that we are the only class in this country that is 100% legal to discriminate against. You can deny me housing, you can deny me a job, you can deny me anything based on nothing but the fact that 12 years ago, I was convicted of a crime.
Is that true still in Pennsylvania, Joe?
To a certain extent, yeah. I mean, Pennsylvania put limits on it, a 7-year limit, where they say, have you been convicted or incarcerated in the last 7 years? But what that means is if you release, so let's say you do 3 years, you still have to legally put that on any application for 7 years after your release. And what that does is that creates where, you can't just move on from it. You just can't. That's 10 years where someone now has to deal with that. You know what I mean? It's
right.
And in right to work states, they don't have to, they can fire you and let you go for any reason. And Pennsylvania is a right to work state. So I'm so curious about Poland. I'm Lithuanian by descent. So
I am too.
Shut up.
No, on my mother's side, I'm 50%. I met my family in Lithuania.
No way. So
I tracked them down.
My original last name is Narkunis. And my grandfather, it became Narkin when we got here. And I don't know, how that happened or whatever. But one of my bucket list places is I definitely want to go to Vilnius and I want to go to Kunis. And, I want to check out the architecture. It just looks absolutely amazing over there. Like almost Croatian-like, right? And the really old houses and the castles and all that kind of fun stuff.
You have to go at least once in your life.
Oh, yeah.
My relatives are near Kaunas, but it was like the typical American story. They left Lithuania, and all you get is the hand-me-down story later. They went to West Virginia and worked in the coal mines because they could. But I went, and I had my little family history, and this was before the internet was super big on genealogy. And I had all this stuff on paper, and I was living in Germany because I've been out of the U.S. since 2003. And I hired someone a Lithuanian guide. And I said, well, here's my family, the ancestral village. I want to go there. And out of Vilnius, it's an hour and 45 minutes away. And we went, and the guy says, okay, here's your village. And when you go in Lithuania or in most of Europe, there's a little sign when you enter a village. So if you were coming to North Wales, Lansdale, or whatever, it would say Lansdale. And then when you leave Lansdale, they would have Lansdale with a slash through it to show that you're leaving. Yeah.
Ah.
And I said, well, here's the village. Here's the village. This is all great. And we went. And about 45 seconds later, we saw the village name with the slash. And he's like, that was the village. I was like, oh, okay.
That's amazing. So
and he says, maybe we'll go back again because we passed in 45 seconds.
That's hilarious. So our original last name was spelled the same as, how did you say that place? Kaunas?
Kaunas. Yeah.
Yeah. That was how our last name was spelled. And it was Nar Kaunas. And,
okay.
and so, when I looked into it, it said Nar is supposed to mean of, like Da Vinci, of Vinci. So I wonder if that was even really our last name. I wonder if like my grandfather even like, I have no idea. Like,
So
stuff, don't they?
yeah, so my family's from Serbia, and we when they came into Ellis Island, they changed the J to an I. So it's Mihalovic. It's Mihalovic, but then they changed the I or the J to an I, so then it's a Vich.
Yeah.
You'll look at a lot of Serbians with that whole when Yugoslavia and all them guys split up through the whole. We won't go down that corridor because we don't need to. And then,
But do you know anybody, Matt? Do you know anybody there?
my dad tells me that we still have family over there.
Yeah.
I know on my grandfather or my great grandfather's headstone, it's spelt with a J, and his parents came over with him, and then I don't know, it's happy hour, so if I go and I get the family Bible, if you really want me to, it's like over there, but
maybe not. Maybe
where
tomorrow.
did Daniel go?
Probably went to poop. He's a good pooper. Yeah, but I always find that fascinating. We went to Josh and I went to Iceland.
Yeah.
No, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, Ellis Island. Yeah, Ellis Island really like messed up a lot of people's last names to make it Americanized. Even from Italy, from Spain to Greek, all through all that corridor. It's just crazy on how they did so much.
What are you, Dan? Straight up Irish?
Actually, here's the funny thing. So my cousin did our Ancestry.com and traced us back like almost 400 years or something. And I learned a lot of cool stuff about my family. So I said, I'll do the DNA test thing. So I did the DNA test thing to find out exactly, what it was and to see obviously who else I connect to. And turns out that it's more Welsh than Irish, but it's Welsh and Irish basically.
Yeah.
And the whole thing with Ellis Island was fairly common back in those days. My parents or my ancestors came here 400 years ago, and
what is that, bro? That's an old fashioned in a bottle. What is that?
Yeah, it's a little micro distillery out of Lansdale.
And it's an old fashioned. It's the whole mix of an old fashioned. So you pour it and you have one.
No,
a lot of left of old fashioned, but
you just shake it and pour it.
That's fantastic. That's absolutely fantastic.
Well, my name. We got this like last week, and my neighbors came over last night, and it was something else. But yeah, keep on going.
You killed that whole. You killed 3/4 of that bottle in one shot. That's pretty good.
Dude, it's a little glass.
Yeah, it's a little glass. It's a little bottle, little glass. I get it.
Care to make a beer festival?
So Dan is unfortunately a San Francisco cuz.
Yo, what's up?
Everybody, it's my cousin Jim.
How you doing, guys?
What's up, Jim? Sorry, my daughter was on the phone calling me about a major meltdown at home, so
Gotcha.
I had to deal with it.
Oh, I hear Bodie. Yeah, no, because so this is Rob's thing. You met Rob at the games. You know Rob, of course.
Yeah,
but
sure.
yeah, he did this just to kind of give people a virtual way to just kind of hang out at 6 o'clock and just, say hi to everybody. So I jumped on and told a little bit of my story. And Dan is a buddy of mine from Oregon, from the wonderful days inside Snake River Institution. And so we were all just hanging out and bullshitting a little bit. The lovely H is from Poland.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, from America, but
from America, lives in Poland. Yeah. So we were talking about Lithuania and shit like that, like Grandpop, and I swear Grandpop was a criminal, and like he just came here just to ditch it, get away from it. Yeah, so it's pretty cool, man. It's all good. But yeah, so we talked about the prison. Now we talked a little about Corona, and then just like we're talking genealogy. Jim's last name is Fitzpatrick, so he's from West Africa.
Yeah, he's Kenyan, 100% Kenyan. Yeah. Everybody has a little bit of African, right? When they do the gene test, like 90%. Actually, according to what I heard,
I think of the Lion King, and then I just raise that baby up,
The tiger.
kind of like Simba in Pennsylvania.
I think
You swear he says Pennsylvania when he says that.
3 or 4%.
What's that, Jim?
like obviously me and Joe have the same like ancestral background at some points, but last I checked, Joe, most of our even on Grandpa's side, who was from Lithuania, most of our genealogy is actually Irish.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't done it
One
yet.
of our relatives did one of those DNA tests, like Ancestry or whatever.
Who did?
And I did, Joe. And they said she was 90% Irish.
Really?
Yeah.
So that means I get to celebrate St. Patty's Day on a whole new level.
Yeah.
Like
if we go by that number, I'm pretty much like 98% Irish.
That's really
You got
funny.
to try it though. Try the ancestry test because they're fun.
I will. My wife was pleasantly surprised that she was part Jewish. She's like, I knew that's why I'm good with money. I knew it. She's like, it's awesome.
So no disrespect. Roxanne wants to get my dog, that's a mutt that I rescued, a DNA test from Amazon. And I'm like,
The dog DNA.
Is that it? Should we do it or
Can you even do that? Does it even check?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It tells you.
I don't know. If you can tell you that you're a half lick of Irish in German, why can't you tell it that things up?
Because I don't think they've mapped the dog genome, have they? How the fuck are they going to
they have.
No,
Shut
they
up,
do
Tim.
it.
Did they really?
Yeah.
No, my aunt did it. No, my aunt did it. She paid $40 US, and it came back, and it was like, your dog's 100% Labrador. Well, you look at it, and you're like, you know it's a Labrador. You look at it, it looks like a Labrador. You just spent $40 to know it's a Labrador. And then it tells you like, oh, a Labrador is very feisty and playful and fun. Like, we know it's a Labrador.
Jim's dog's just fat. Dan, you had your dog right there, didn't you? Where's your dog?
Right here, he's a lab terrier. Hold on a second.
Did you get the DNA test done?
You don't need it.
That is not a lab. That's a mutt all day, bro.
It looks like a camel.
That's a mutt eating its penis right now. That's all that is.
So when I started, I saw him and they said, "Oh, he's a terrier," and I'm like, "Okay." So I looked at terriers a little bit, and I had an understanding it's going to be about a medium-sized dog, no problem. Worked perfect in my apartment.
Bodie.
And I got him, and my girlfriend at the time started saying, "Man, he's got huge freaking paws. He's going to be big." And I never looked at that. And then my daughter, who's like 23, looked on Google and shows me a picture of a lab terrier, and it looks just like Red. And I'm like, oh, shoot. And I love labs. They're good dogs. They're playful. They're fun. They're smart, all that. But they're freaking big. You know what I mean? And I wasn't exactly in my little 500 square foot apartment looking for a full-size dog. But I wouldn't get rid of him for nothing. He's my little buddy.
So like a ton of energy with them, kind of mouthy, typical terrier stuff, or more on the lab side?
No, way more on the lab side.
That's cool.
So
Everybody say hi to Bodie. Say Bodie.
Hi, Bodie.
Say hi. Is
Hey,
that
Bo.
you? Is that you?
You want to say hi to Jen?
Oh, show Jim. Show Jim.
Jen, come here.
Bodie Narkin.
Jen, somebody wants to say hi. Come here.
Can you open up the multi-screens, Rob? Yeah. There you go. Who's that? Who's that over there? Is that Uncle Jim? Is that Uncle Jim? Say hi, Uncle Jim. Who's that?
Wait, that's just me. Why do I only see me?
Because no, he put it up there so you can see him.
Oh, okay. Well, Jen showed up. He wants to say hi to Miss Bo.
Where's Jen?
And so does Chance.
Apparently.
Wait, I'll come this way.
See, that's a fat dog, bro. I'm sorry, I love you.
Listen,
fat dog. It's not all fair.
He just turned 9. Cut him some slack. All right.
He's not fat.
Hey, Jen. Cody, look.
Hi.
Here's Aunt Jen. Say hi.
Hi, Bo.
That's such a big girl. I'm a big girl. Say hi. Well, guys, she's going to bed, so I gotta go. I gotta jump off. But yeah, we'll do this again. This is a blast, man. It's a great time, Rob. We'll do it again, bro.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Invite me
We'll catch up with you.
another time.
And it's every night at 6 o'clock, guys. I mean, yeah. Jim, let's do it again. Like,
yeah, just show me an invite. Oh, you got to remind me though, because I'm going to forget.
Well, that's because you smoke too much weed.
Yeah, that's probably. Yeah, that's true.
Love you guys. I'll talk to y'all later.
Love you.
All right, man. I'll see y'all later.
See you guys. Bye bye.
See you guys.
I don't know how to.
I got you. It's easy peasy. Looks like Maddie's gone too. So Jim, Jim's gone too. All right, well that's cool. Dan, what 3 hours behind us? Well, it looks like maybe Dan's gone too. All right, fine.
All right.
It's back to me and you, Heather. So that was cool. I mean, I like having different people talking about different things on here, and
yeah, it's nice. It's nice to get different perspectives and stuff and hear what's going on there.
Yeah, I mean, that's like a whole nother level, like, yeah. I don't know, like having to, I don't know, like we think it's bad just sitting in the house for 2 weeks. Could you imagine sitting in like a tiny little cell for a year?
Gosh, no, I mean, and to be so positive about it after the fact.
I know. He said at one point, he was like talking about how, like just how many great people are in there and how, I'm like, I wouldn't imagine that at all.
No.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine at all. I don't think that way at all. Matt's neighbor actually is a correctional officer.
Yeah.
At one of the jails, and looks like Heather. I mean, looks like Rachel. Rachel said she was making some deep fried Oreos. I don't know if I want to see them.
Oh yeah, you do.
No, I don't know that I do because I'm not near where you are, and I could eat some deep fried Oreos for sure. No, did you put the deep fried Oreos in the air fryer?
Oh.
They're from the air fryer.
Oh.
No way! You
These
deep
are
fry
Oreos, and this is
how do you deep fry Oreos in an air fryer? How do you deep fry Oreos in an air fryer?
That's the thing. The air fryer works like a deep fryer, only without
There's
the
no
oil.
oil.
That's the whole point. Yeah. It's awesome. It's awesome. The cod was crispy, delicious. The asparagus was perfectly done. And, when Jim gets done tubbing Piper and James comes upstairs, we'll eat some Oreos. They're good.
Are you going to deep fry that?
Many.
Air fried them. Air fried Oreos.
Well, my buddy and I, Brian Huff and I used to deep fry Oreos together.
Yeah, he was commenting on Facebook, but he hasn't. He just won't do it for some reason.
Yep.
But anyway, so you're going to go Oreo.
Air fried deep fried Oreos is not something I've ever heard of in my entire life.
It might get dry.
It's only the second time I made them. It's really easy. You buy the Oreos and you buy Pillsbury crescent doughs, and you wrap it in the crescent dough and put it in the air fryer. Spin the knob for air fry, and for 6-7 minutes, something like that. Then you dust them with powdered sugar because you got to have the powdered sugar to make them good.
Oh yeah.
Do you dip them in something, or what do you do with them then?
I wrapped it in Pillsbury crescent dough. So
yeah, but after, and that's it. You don't dip them in
sugar on the top.
Okay.
Good.
So they're not truly deep fried. They're Oreo.
No, they're. Where's the camera? Deep fried.
Oreo biscuits.
I want to make them real dirty, and I want to dip them in melted chocolate or something after the fact.
Oh yes.
See, now you're talking.
James, my 11-year-old wanted me to do Nutella.
Yeah,
so actually,
exactly.
3 of them aren't Oreos; they're Nutella wrapped in crescent dough and then fried.
Yeah, but something nice to dip them in.
What it looks like on the inside of those. There you go. Oh, baby.
For the guys that are just joining in, let us know what you guys are doing for your stay-at-home order. how you're keeping the kids busy, because I just found my kid climbing on his bedroom ceiling. That's why I had to disappear. So, if you guys could give us some inline, text, call me. We can put you on. Call the station.
Call the station. Yeah, I even made it easy today. I tried to put a tiny URL in there, so it's just
make sure you share it, because the more people that we get on this, it's going to be more interactive, and it'll be great for all of us to not talk about deep fried Oreos and make his cholesterol go up.
Well, do you want me to talk about the cod and asparagus that I made instead?
No, I don't want to talk anything about
no, that's boring.
Or dinner.
I smoked and deep fried a turkey on Sunday because I was so bored. We can talk about that, because that's.
Well, let me hear you. How was it?
It was delightful. There's no more left, or I would show you. If you go to my Facebook or, hit me up on Matty Mall on Facebook, you can see the pictures. But so it was 8 hours smoke, and then got it to about 1:35, and then deep fried it. Finished it off. Golden. You got the smoke ring. And everything.
Starving over here. I just realized these things go down really easy, and I haven't had food yet. So
how drunk are you?
Not that bad, not at all. But I'm ready for food. And then my daughter calling and freaking out on me is not fun. I don't even get.
She's still coming for her regular visit time with you?
No,
or?
I haven't seen her in. I don't even know. 3 weeks.
How come?
She's in lockdown.
Yeah. So Heather, are they doing anything?
Heather just loves her.
We're going to talk to Heather about
she's in lockdown. So
yeah, I didn't know. Well, she probably doesn't have any kids, but
no, I don't think she does.
Is football season starting yet? Richard wants to know.
Who is that?
Richard wants to know. Richard Allen
wants to know. I think he must be getting bored.
Yeah.
Sorry, I hit the wrong button. I know. I was a little click happy there.
She would order food and have it delivered to me. I really appreciate that. She instead closed out the phone.
So we were saying, with the football season starting, and then
starting for a long time
with the food and the kids. And then,
Matt, how much have you had to drink tonight?
No, I lost my train of thought because I'm watching QVC, straight up, dude.
Well, and you had
I'm watching QVC with steaks and shit. Oh my god!
You're watching QVC.
I am.
You're watching QVC.
Yeah.
You're in the 1990s, and are you a 45-year-old woman? What are you doing?
Excuse me. No, I'm learning new sales tactics. Okay.
Oh, is that what you're doing?
Well, that's why they tell me to watch QVC. That's what my therapist says. Oh, my roommates are home. Yes. Here she is, the one and only Lucy.
I was wondering where she was earlier when everybody was doing the dog portion of the show.
I know.
So did I tell you that today for that physician that was trying to come talk to us, I had to literally fill out a media request form for the hospital?
The Italian.
No, the one here.
Okay.
He's a critical care pulmonologist.
Oh, that
so
one.
in order for him to be allowed to talk to us, I had to go through the media relations department at the hospital and get their approval for him to talk to us. So we'll
Jay
see.
Donahue, do you have approval to do that?
I don't know yet. I haven't heard back. They were like, what's the media outlet? So I'm like, I didn't put ABC, I'm like, coronavirus
Facebook.
happy hour show, yeah, we have a webcast with 10 viewers, just a bunch of people talking, man. So it's not a big deal.
See my old kitty?
Oh, look at everyone's doing dog. Look at Heather. You and I are the only ones without pets. I don't know what that says about it.
I don't know.
That cat's like 19 years old, man.
Yeah.
Old cat.
Matt, are you still walking around the neighborhood or what?
Roxanne.
What's that?
Roxanne just came in, so Roxanne just came in with her her Wi-Fi device, so it's getting acclimated. So I'm going to be breaky for next couple minutes.
No, I was asking her if you're taking the dog for a walk or what you're doing with that.
So the month of April, my sisters and Roxanne decided to join not the Mile High Club like you and I joined.
Never
when we climbed that 14,000 foot mountain.
14,000 feet is 3 miles. But that's
story,
yeah.
When we climbed the 14er, we saw the people in the Mile High Club doing their thing.
Did you ask about April Fool's pranks?
The what? What did she say?
Say it's all broken up now. Roxanne,
Did you talk about April Fool's pranks?
did we talk about April Fool's pranks? Rachel had one.
It wasn't a good one.
No.
Right.
The only good one I saw today was the one about telling kids that you have to repeat the grade.
They're just saying that they have to repeat the grade. Or how Holly smashed, they said it was a hard-boiled egg, and they smashed the egg. What?
I think
where's Mason?
3 o'clock in the afternoon.
No, I'm not. No, I wish I was. That would be great.
Did you stop by today?
Hi.
What's up, Mace?
Here, you can talk to everybody.
Tired.
Yeah. We hung out with his grandmom today.
Oh, what'd you do? He can't hear us.
A lot.
I did okay.
Croquet?
Croquet.
Wow.
And I did
Pokemon. Draw Pokemon, probably.
no, I didn't do that.
No?
I did my
That's a hard day.
computer.
Yeah, Google homework. All right.
Did what?
His Google homework
Oh.
Oh.
Online.
is online.
There's homework.
Yeah,
Give a
that's
lot of work.
We're teaching him his multiplication tables
Mm-hmm.
in first grade.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what was stressing Stella out. They've been having all these problems with the homework system, and she's still trying to get her work done on time. And she's like, "But Dad, the teachers don't check it after 7 o'clock, and I need to get it done." And yada yada yada.
Our check-in time's 10 p.m. So we don't have to have our homework at 10 p.m.
10 p.m. Our
Yeah.
check-in time is.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right. You good, bud?
No, I'm not going to bed.
Yeah, no. It was great seeing you. I haven't seen you.
Back hurts.
So Heather, are they putting up like sneeze guards over there?
Yeah, they've erected, it's like clear glass.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine you're in a foreign country and, okay, like you went to shops and now you go to the shops again and now suddenly, first they put, like, like plastic crates, like milk crates, beer crates, whatever.
Yeah.
They put them in front of the cash register. So now to socially distance, like 3 weeks ago, they put these crates there. I'm like, whatever. I can put my little bag in there and put my stuff in the bag. It's all good. And then now they put these like clear glass stuff. And then they started to wear gloves.
One other thing in that is seeds.
And a mask. And now they put this clear glass and there's like signs. And when you don't speak English, you're like, well, heck.
Everybody don't speak.
I don't know if this says like, I don't know, you can only pay with card.
Right.
Buy 3 things. I have no
language. What language? I mean, I guess Polish would be the language.
It's Polish. Yeah. Yeah, so it's just absolutely wacky. That's why I went last night, bought everything I need for 2 weeks because I'm like afraid to go out because I don't know that I can buy what I want or need or whatever. So I'm like, just buy lots of pasta. It'll be all right.
Yeah, I actually have some pasta in there too. I have some pasta, and I have some pesto from Northern Italy in there too. I should probably make some of that. But
yeah, but there's all these rules now because from yesterday they put these out for today, and old people have from 10 to 12 in the morning. Yeah, so nobody can go out except old people from 10 to 12 to the shops. Fine. And then the shop will only let in, I think it's like 2 people per cash register.
Oh, yeah, I thought I read something about that.
Yeah, so my local places have 1 or 2 cash registers. So that means like they're going to let in like maybe 2 people. Like,
And you got to wait till they're done shopping before the next 2 can come in.
Yeah, I'm not going to mess around with like going in the queues. That's why I went last night. I'm like, just buy cans of beans, frozen food, whatever.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I have no fresh food because nobody's selling bag salad. That's the only thing we're missing in Poland is bags of salad.
Yeah, I looked at like vegetables and I was like, because like I don't know, can you watch coronavirus vegetable? I don't know.
Did anybody go to the food store today?
I went on Monday.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
Yeah, I'm saying our viewers, see if anybody went today, see what they had. Roxanne went on Sunday and she brought home like this big thing of chicken and ground beef. So maybe she got in the lucky time. Rox, did you look
at
for toilet paper?
Beef there when I went.
I didn't go to the store.
You went on Sunday.
There's meat at the stores now, but at least last time I was there wasn't toilet paper, which is still ridiculous, in my opinion.
Shannon just got toilet paper the other day. Shannon said she got toilet paper.
Yeah, I have a bunch of stuff in the freezer, and I feel like I should probably cook it before I go to the grocery store again. But I really don't feel like it because obviously, if it's, you know how like there's always that stuff in the freezer that you never touch. Like you bought it because you were at the grocery store and you were hungry, and so you bought it, but it's gonna sit there for a year and then you're gonna throw it away. Like,
I'm moving Saturday, so I'm eating that food.
So wait, you have to move in the middle of all of this?
Well, yeah, because originally when I was I was back in early February booking all this stuff on Airbnbs, yeah. And booking the Airbnbs in summer, everybody jacks the prices up. And so when I was looking, where am I going to stay? Where am I going to stay? Teacher's salary, it's not that great and stuff. And I found like a place that's it's slightly outside the city. It was fine. It was going to be a 40-minute walk to work. It's fine. I walk to work. I like it. And yeah, I got to move Saturday. Not just Saturday. Saturday following Easter Saturday.
And you're moving just because you're moving to another Airbnb or what?
Yeah.
Because it's going to be now. Wait, did the prices drop now that nobody's?
Well, the prices drop now, but I already kind of pre-booked this, and it has a tiny little balcony because we're restricted. We can't go outside. So I'm like, oh, thank God, I have a little tiny balcony because right now I have nothing.
Yeah, I have a little balcony right behind me. But outside there's like there's grills. The grills are still open. Most of the public areas of the apartment complex are not open. Like our gym's not open. We have like a virtual golf simulator that's not open. We have a game room that's not open. A gathering room that's not open. The business center's not open, but the courtyards are open. And the courtyards has like a real nice grill. Somebody had a 50th birthday out there just the other, like maybe a week ago, or I don't know, it could have been 2 weeks ago, just a week and a half. I'm wondering, like, when the weather starts to warm up, like, first of all, how long are we going to be under this? But in another month, it starts getting warm outside. They better open that pool. Not because I want to get in the pool, but just because if I'm going to be stuck at home, I want to go sit in the sun. You know? So
we get warm weather in 3 days.
And it's magic just in 3 days?
Yeah, it's coming in 3. I think that's why they shut us down, because the like super warm weather is coming in 3 days.
And so it will stay. It's not like here where it comes and goes and comes and goes.
No, it's early spring, but we get like, I don't know, like 2 days ago when I talked to you guys, it was snowing, and now all of a sudden we have like proper summer weather for about 5 days, and then we'll see.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's super nice. So that was the other reason people are saying that's why they put these restrictions in, because the warm weather's coming. So they just want people not to be out.
Are you allowed to be out to exercise or anything?
You can go out for your hour of exercise, but the police are out.
The police what?
The police are out.
Really?
Yeah. And you can only be out 2 people together, maximum.
Wow.
I mean, I guess that's good. That's how you're going to keep yourselves healthy, you know?
Well, yeah, that's why we only have 2,500 people total infected.
Yeah.
8 million.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the worldometer today to see what.
Yeah, and then bring that up, Bobby, would you?
Yeah.
Let's bring it up on. And then who had it and survived? Because we just have to look at the positive side.
Okay, where does that? So we're going to cross 1 million tomorrow. Almost 20% have recovered.
There we go. We covered. Let's hope that goes over 200,000. That'd be great.
So we're at. I mean, this is just because they're testing, right? This number's getting up there, though. I think that's the highest I've seen that. That's kind of insane. And it's so early now that our recovered numbers are still pretty low.
Yeah.
Because it's still kind of low. Italy's still up there. Spain is. I mean, that's insane. For a country like Spain versus the United States.
Yeah.
That's just nuts.
Hey guys, I'm gonna have to get going. The little one will be coming down the stairs anyway.
All right. Good seeing you.
Yep. Talk to y'all later.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. So I mean, I guess New York and New Jersey accounts for 10,000 of the new ones.
No, they said New York's so bad, isn't it?
500 new deaths just in New York. That's nuts. Pennsylvania's still sitting down here. I mean, even that's getting up there. Louisiana, because of. Did you hear what happened in Louisiana? Was it just Mardi Gras? It had to have just been Mardi Gras.
I don't know.
Why am I getting ads for baby odors? That's kind of crazy. I don't have.
Bobby, blow it up real quick.
What do you mean? Oh, you can't see it good?
Oh, my glasses on.
I see it.
Can't see without my glasses.
Oh, you need it enlarged.
Yeah.
Now I get this stupid ad is sitting
there. There you go. Nah. Never mind.
The ad. Why is the ad sit over top of the page? Yeah. Where are you? And let us look. You said let's look at Yeah, you're way down here. Where are you? I don't even see you.
You're just past Poland.
Oh, I did?
Yeah, it's around 2,500.
Poland.
Right. There you go. Yeah. There you go.
Things that begins with a K.
Well, it's not alphabetical. It's not. It's been a pretty manageable steepness of the graph.
Yeah, considering there's 38 million people here, it's not too shabby.
No, that's true. Yeah. Look at a nice little. This must have been when did you guys go in lockdown?
It was. I want to say it was. My birthday was the Friday, first week of March, and it was like the week after.
Yeah.
So, Bobby, do we have anybody trying to join in with us that can ask Heather questions?
Nope.
No.
Slow night tonight. That's all right, though.
Yeah. We
have each other.
No, and it's nice to hear local accent because I don't get to hear it normally. So.
Yeah, we'll get somebody from Philly on, and they'll give you the good accent, right?
No, come on now.
Oh well. All right. Well, I guess I'm gonna go get some dinner.
Yeah. I think we're gonna close it up.
Yeah, I say that's perfectly fine.
Roxanne, Tim. We'll see you tomorrow, Heather.
Yeah, I really appreciate you joining us, Heather. I know it gets late there for you, and I like to hear the perspective.
No, it's nice to catch up with people back at home type of thing. So
yeah,
just chat with you guys.
And then I think you friend requested me on Facebook.
I did, because you just said that about 10 minutes ago. So
Yeah. So I'll send you my private number so we can talk on what you want to know about what's going on over here that you don't know.
Yeah, I think she wants to see some pictures of your smoked food.
No, I'm just saying with the, you know, how they say, if it bleeds, it leads. So
as a vegetarian, I'm waiting to see smoked tofu and all that.
That's why. That's why.
But
you caught my
no, I was just saying with the AB6 or ABC, AB6, it bleeds, it leads, right?
That's true. That's true.
So,
all right, cool. Well,
all right.
We'll see you later on in the week.
Yeah, we'll see you soon.
Hopefully. Nice chat.
Yeah.
All right, you too.
Talk to you.
All right, Matt. Well, there you go, everyone. So, interesting conversation tonight with Joe. It was a pretty cool surprise. He got one of his other buddies on there too. Interesting to hear some of those stories and you know, just kind of share what we're all going through. So, thanks again for joining us, and you know, please like, share, subscribe, all those fun things. We have a nice group of people that typically join in, so let's hope we can join that number and continue the conversation. So, thanks again, everyone, and have a great night.